Hello again, everybody. I am Healthcare's version of Matt Belisai. I'm Chris Sepper, and I am here at MedHeads, which is MedCityNews.com's regular look at the business of innovation in healthcare. We get to have a lot of fun with this episode because we talk about everybody's favorite topic that hardly anybody knows anything about, healthcare social media. And I have three great guests with us who have spent time doing social media and writing about social media. First, we end heavy Cleveland presence this week, right? From beautiful west side of Cleveland is MedCity News' reporter Nicole Oran. Nicole, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Also, south of Cleveland is the director of marketing services for Breaking Media, which is MedCityNews.com's parent company, Kate Idom. Kate, how's life?
Hey, I'm just impressed you pronounced my last name correctly. It's all good. So I feel like I should have some kind of cool sign, but I don't. Next time.
I usually bat about 1 out of 10 for that. And Mandy, where are you?
I am really, really far south of Cleveland in Jacksonville, Florida.
In beautiful Jacksonville, Florida, where I once got fleas at a hotel.
I don't doubt it for a second.
Mandy Bishop is by day leading some of Dell's healthcare analytics work, but at night she is Mandy B. Pro, who basically let healthcare social media on fire during HIMSS this year and on a regular basis. Mandy, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we're talking healthcare social media this week for a very specific reason, right? We had this totes adorbs, as the kids say, video of a pediatrician teaching every parent how to keep a baby from crying, which is maybe the most beautiful gift, speaking as a parent, that you could give a young couple. Nicole, you wrote about this, so just set the stage of this video a little bit and what happened.
Yeah, so I think that the story really got a lot of traction, and I got some input from Andre Blackman, who's really a kind of social media.
Before we go to Andre, just tell us about the video and how many people started looking at it, and like how quick did it grow?
Yeah, so I checked just a little bit ago, and it's already over 9 million views.
Wow.
Just in the past few days. And this is a guy named Dr. Robert Hamilton, who is just showing very simply what's the easiest way to calm down a baby. And a crying baby who refuses to just kind of stay put. And this particular hold and the way he demonstrates holding the baby's neck and shaking its bottom.
Booty.
Booty.
You gotta shake the booty. You gotta shake the booty.
Let's show the booty. Let's show the booty right now. I'm going to do my best here to start screen share and show this guy. So let's go to our doc.
And there is the booty shake.
Some booty action.
Yep, there's the booty. Yep.
Rock him.
The palm, the bottom.
Yeah.
Gotta shake the bottom. I still think there's going to be, like, there were all of these spoofs off of the new Drake video. I still think that they're going to do something like this. Like, imagine the baby and the doctor on the colorful background. Probably not as good as the Pug version, but I think there's going to be, like, a Drake, Hotline Bling spoof. I'm just saying. I'm calling it right now.
There are going to be multiple GIFs, multiple memes. This guy's going to be on the Today Show. Very soon he's going to be on Oprah. I mean, this is what is going to happen, and that's beyond social media going viral.
Right.
But it does look like he's going to pop that kid's head off with the way his fingers are.
It looks a little aggressive, honestly.
It does. It reminds me of I'm a nerd, as you might have guessed. Battlestar Galactica, when the Cylon in one of the first episodes basically snaps the baby's neck by pinching it. I'm like so worried that this guy's going to go Cylon on the baby, but obviously doesn't, and most people disagree with that. Nicole, you did interview someone about this. Why did it go so viral?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of different reasons. I think that for one thing that we kind of, at least us on the media side, get a little caught up in like doing this 5 must-see things or like creating listicles, but there is something that is significant about doing something that is just about this is the thing, this is one thing, and it's more digestible, I think, to a lot of people, and especially that contributes to it going viral because a lot of people are willing to absorb that instead of jumping into a big list of whatever. But also, I think that having a pediatrician that's the key, it clearly is a very credible source from the get-go, and you can tell because he's wearing his white jacket, like he's that what you're
playing
seeing
on the white jacket, yeah.
Yeah, Manny, yeah, jump in here, Manny. What did you take when you saw that, and like what was the game plan there? What made this such a viral video?
Well, first, it's universal, right? Parenting is a universal concept. This isn't something that applies to a small segment of the population. And so at some point in our lives, all of us are likely, with varying degrees of success, to become parents. And so this is a concept, and young and old can enjoy it, right? So people who are current parents can enjoy it for what it has to do now. My parents and my grandparents actually got a kick out of it because they wish that they'd had this, and they share it with their friends because it's simply something that's cute. And the information is incredibly useful, and it's so simple that it's something that you can take away from not just the YouTube video, but then talk to your friends about it. So it's delivered in such a short span of time that we're able to digest it and we're able to incorporate it, and it becomes something that's meaningful and useful to us. So.
And I think that's the thing that made the difference on this one. I think there are a lot of funny and interesting videos that often get shared, but this one, it was funny and cute and adorable and useful. So I saw, my sister-in-law shared it with her sister and said, look, you had always done this with your kids. Look, you were right, and then shared it with like 10 of her, tagged 10 of her friends on,
right.
My nephew is like 10 months old and he's, the constant, so, his mom was talking about like, oh my God, I'm going to try this, and I think and it was so authentic. It was so authentic. Right. And you could see the parents in the back, like, the visual relief on their face,
And it wasn't a sales pitch, right? And so I think that that's also crucially important when it comes to the viral stuff is things that are not necessarily sales pitches, although I do have that one exception that I'll touch on later. But this wasn't a sales pitch, even though I'm sure that this has been very helpful to his pediatric practice. If he's looking to expand his practice, this is a great way to do it, or it creates a new career opportunity for him to go be a motivational speaker on this kind of stuff. But it was just information, and it was good information, and it was delivered in a brief enough period of time that it was digestible. So and in simple language. He wasn't, when he talks about a booty, he's not talking about the gluteus maximus and he doesn't use clinical terminology, which I think is a trap that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the kiss at the end as it fades out, the authenticity of it was that. I mean, that was amazing, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that in healthcare a few times, right? I think there's a hearing aid company in Minnesota that has that customers who help the severe deaf, and many people who turn that hearing aid on for the first time hear for the first time, and there have been viral videos based off of solely that topic as well. And so, but Kate, I want to go to you for a second because we're talking about what makes a video viral, right? But that's kind of a false premise because you could check off all the boxes we talked about with our pediatric friend, and it's not going viral.
Well, how many? I mean, I would bet you money that nearly every hospital healthcare marketer, their boss, someone who thinks they could do their job, will come to them and say, we need a viral video. We have to do a video and it has to go viral, and your job success, is dependent upon it. And they think there is some magical formula. There are certainly things that are commonalities between viral videos, but you also can't force it to be viral unless you're gonna maybe pay for the traffic. But then it's just it's not authentic, and it really isn't viral. It's not something that people on the streets are talking about. Right. So the emotion and all of those pieces, but really your strategy, your marketing strategy can never be, we're going to create a viral video. You want to create something that is authentic and matches your brand. And I think to Mandy's point, for the most part, is you don't want it to be salesy. But I bet every single healthcare marketing person at some point has had someone walk in their office and say, we need a viral video. We have to force it. We're going to do it.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way.
Right. I love it when people say that they want to plan for something to go viral, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's a great idea to have, and that's, of course, you would want that, but the fact that those things happen by accident that's part of what makes them viral, right? So the Cleveland Clinic is a great example. So you're talking about you talked about the hearing aid examples, but then Cleveland Clinic actually created their empathy video, right? And I think the first one was almost 3 years ago. And that went viral, and it was intended to be an internal video. It was not intended for external release. It really wasn't a Cleveland Clinic commercial. but it was so well done. The cuts in the commercial were short enough that they were able to maintain attention span, and it tugged on every emotion that we have. You know, there was a mother and child who were visiting the sick husband, father for the last time. There was a doctor who was celebrating his 25th anniversary in the background. It was all about Google Glass. So the commercial had been created internally for Cleveland Clinic to talk about the power of Google Glass to drive healthcare innovation. And it went viral as an empathy message because it was so powerful, and it was shared in mainstream media, and shared by multiple news outlets and other things. But then they've tried to replicate that, and they created an entire empathy series, and the result, the other ones haven't had nearly the same impact.
I went full weenie on that one with that first one. I've seen it.
Oh, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried.
Nicole, have you seen other viral videos or other things that you think are good examples of when healthcare's got it right?
Yeah, I think there have been plenty. I'm trying to think of anything.
Well, the Ice Bucket Challenge is probably a good one.
I'm sorry?
Ice Bucket Challenge.
Oh, yeah. No, that was huge. Yeah, that was viral to the max. I mean, it became its own separate campaign kind of thing that everyone was on board with. So that was really fascinating. And
let me Mandy,
you can bet on that Ice Bucket Challenge that nonprofit CEOs across the country walked into their marketing people and said, "We need to do the exact same thing.
We need to be doing this."
Yeah. And I think
do anything.
The Ice Bucket Challenge I think is definitely different because it wasn't just one video. It resulted in hundreds of thousands of videos. But it did play off of
concept.
Right. It played off community and friendship, and so it's. Again, it hit at the right time, or you get the right influencer that shares it or looks at it.
Right.
I think also it's fascinating to think of a strategy that someone had to do something that everyone can do.
That's really good.
Right.
You can do it anywhere, anytime. There's nothing that I think that makes a big difference too.
Well, and it does, and it's interesting because with the Ice Bucket Challenge, as well as with some of the other kind of funding mechanisms, the viral funding mechanisms that you're seeing. So, Doug Flutie with autism awareness, for example. There are a number of examples of viral videos and just short messages that he had put out around the time that his son was diagnosed. You'll see those things happen, but there are celebrity endorsements, and when there's a celebrity engaged, sometimes it makes it more challenging. To define viral, right, and to draw a line between this pediatrician who is kind of an everyman doctor performing an everyday function and that going viral, as opposed to kind of cheating and having celebrity engagement, right? In either case, the result is that it goes viral. But I wonder, if we all started including Kim Kardashian's name in our YouTube links for healthcare-related videos. Would we effectively be able to start a movement just by virtue of leveraging search engine optimization for the Kardashians, or in Z-Dog's case, that the one viral video that he has with R. Kelly's name?
I wanted to jump right on that. I'm glad you said that because I think we talk about viral, and there's kind of two levels of viral in healthcare, right? There's the viral in the community, and then there's the big viral, right? And a testimony to someone who probably does great work every time, but can you really say has gone viral beyond once is Z-Dog. And Mandy, you've studied this a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. So Z-Dog is awesome, right?
That was Gabby Dog. But it was the same thing.
Yeah. Z-Dog is amazing. And if you do not know who Z-Dog MD is, you need to go and Google him right now. But Z-Dog has a presence across multiple social media platforms. He's got a number of subscribers on YouTube. He's got almost 90,000 followers on Facebook. He puts out regular funny and very informative parody videos, right? So his specialty is in music parody for the healthcare conditions and for healthcare audience, and he gets several 100,000 views, and sometimes it's in the tens of thousands of views, which is still on viral in our community. But the one video that he had that has almost 2 million views mentions R. Kelly in the name on the link in YouTube. And so you have to wonder if the viral nature of that is because of the R. Kelly linkage, or if it's because of the content of the message and the fact that he's dressed in this really fantastic, rapper 1980s coat with fur. He's got the fur everywhere.
And in his number of followers, we could call him healthcare's most consistently viral, just as a name. But his number of followers on YouTube and stuff is nowhere near
some
viral
other
people.
Yeah, viral people like Bat Dad, right? So again, if you don't know who Bat Dad is, yeah, yeah, Bat Dad, right? Bat Dad's awesome, and Bat Dad does not ever, to the best of my knowledge, on all the Bat Dad compilations I've seen, there has not been any useful information shared via Bat Dad Vines and his compilations. But he's hilarious. He's just a dad who wears a Batman mask, and he, points the camera in selfie mode and talks to his children and his wife behind him in a very gruff voice. Like that's it. This is all the guy does. And he's got 4 million followers on Facebook. He's got almost 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, that's viral, and that's viral on a mass scale. And so how do we get healthcare information? How do we get useful information into the Bat Dad type viral videos?
Well, I would say this: can healthcare be
Bat Dad
consistently viral? Right, and we could say Dr. Oz is healthcare, and he's got a lot of followers, but he's got a TV channel, right? He's not purely viral. Can healthcare be, a YouTube comic, right? Like Higa Niga or I forget some of these other folks, or College Humor. Can they be consistently viral? Is that possible with the subject matter that we have, which is typically illness at a moment of need kind of information? Right. And I just want to go across the board on that. I'll start with Kate.
I think you can. I think a lot of hospital systems probably want to create that type of content, but then what they're doing is let's share it with everybody. Really, though, they really need to. Their version of viral and their version of success might be more clearly defined within a smaller audience. That condition or that that healthcare piece really matters to. So I think it's more clearly defining what viral is and what the success of something like that would look like. And really, again, it has to be authentic. It can't be overly commercial. You have to play to the emotion. So there are some things that are somewhat formulaic with that, but it also certainly does not guarantee, success as well.
No, I agree. What do you think, Mandy?
I think that there's definitely an opportunity. I think we, to varying degrees, are an echo chamber, right, within the healthcare community, and so we listen and talk amongst ourselves quite a bit. And we speak our own language, and it becomes very inaccessible to mainstream folks, right, to people who are not within this area. So in order for our message to become viral, it needs to be universally applicable. So this thing of the baby, right, and using simplistic, non-clinical language to explain a process to calm a crying baby. That is a universal problem that all parents can understand. The more we are able to simplify our speech, and the more that we're able to understand that this pedantic air that a lot of us take on is not palatable to the broader audience, right? Like that will help us, and I think people like Z-Dog, he's got the right idea. Ross Martin is another one, right? So Ross Martin writes parodies, and e-patient Dave Bronkhart with his "Give Me My Damn Data." Like those things have an opportunity to become viral, and I think will become the viral, like the more viral of our generation of folks. But we've got to keep our message short. We all like to hear ourselves talk. We've got to keep our message short. We've got to speak the language of people outside of our sphere of influence, outside of this healthcare community. And we've got to remember that it has to be a universally applicable thing, right? I mean, we have to understand that in order for something to go viral, in order for our message to be heard on a wide scale, it's got to be applicable to a wide number of people. It's got to resonate.
Nicole, how about you? You concur?
Yeah, I do. I think Andy has a really good point in terms of the idea of keeping messages succinct and really applicable to a wide audience. I think that's huge. I think that there is, for me at least, with some of the healthcare things that go a little bit viral or get shared a lot, I'm always curious a little bit about how much there's this edge put on paranoia a little bit. You should be worried about this, or this is a big thing, and that is what makes something go viral.
Yeah.
And I think that is an area of danger that we kind of, hopefully keep an eye on, where we know when something is legitimate or not. I mean, it can be legitimate, but if it goes viral because it's enough to scare people, then that seems.
Well, as we know, you've seen, playing to the fear can be just as effective as playing to the, the humor or.
I want to talk about a different kind of fear here. I think that's I'm going for any cheap segue I can. Right, we've been talking about kind of the viralness that comes when we create something, but I think there's also another viralness online that healthcare, I think, is actually pretty poorly prepped for, and that's leveraging healthcare social media for crisis communications. Now, this is a few years back, but I think most of us will remember there was a medical device like CFO or CEO or somebody who
CFO, yeah,
with CFO who went through a Chick-fil-A drive-through and just ripped this drive-through clerk for the stand that the CEO has for gay marriage. Uploaded it. Then he tried to use his company equipment to create a video responding to it. You know, it's a little medical device company that's never, not going to be prepared for, essentially the social media tidal wave that engulfed it. I wonder, just in what you have all observed, how well positioned is healthcare social media for a Valent style backlash around its drugs, or what if there's a crisis on a hospital campus with a tragedy, or any of these other things that pop up? I mean, that's another way to use healthcare social media when you're engulfed by a viral thing.
It is. So I'll speak up first on this one. Yeah, how horrifying, and that Chick-fil-A video went viral for so many reasons. But was Valent? No, Valent absolutely wasn't positioned to respond. First, even if there was going to be backlash from a social media perspective for Valent, they would probably anticipate it to be about one of their devices, right? So they may have been prepared for a crisis response pertaining to their line of business, like what do they actually do for a living, but not prepared to respond to the actions of one of their executives, right? So, and particularly one of their executives randomly attacking a minimum wage employee of a fast food restaurant, like that just, yeah, who of his own accord then shared that attack with the public. So we do that poorly in our industry. Like, we do it poorly even from a wide sweeping perspective in understanding how to handle crisis management when it pertains to our line of business. So we're not typically prepared for that because we don't have the social media training. We're lagging behind other industries in getting social. So we're not prepared. We should learn to get prepared, and we should enact strategies and help our employees understand what it means to be social, and where the potential pitfalls might lie in their social engagements, even if they're not necessarily engaging on behalf of our organization. So there's a broader strategy that should be put in place that I do not believe exists across most of our industry right now.
Kate, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think this ties into there's a lot of advantage, especially when you're talking about a hospital system with thousands of employees, and everyone is active on social media, that can run a risk. I think there's also been some instances of, maybe some nurses over time who have, tweeted something or talked about a patient, or, again, talked about patient data, kind of online or on Facebook or something like that. So that's, that's always a risk that is run. And I think, the organizations that are smart about it, do understand that when they look at, social media, I think, exactly to Mandy's point, in that list, in the old school, crisis communications binder that you would have of all possible scenarios, social media opens up, it double or triples the type of item or issue that you could define as a crisis. Right. And I think that idiot employees has probably become, probably moved up into the top 10 potentially, of things that you really have to prepare for, because sometimes people just, the common sense, or they don't, I didn't know that was going to happen. Well, if you're going to be an idiot and you're going to broadcast it, there's a good chance that, that's going to happen. So,
exactly.
But, I think it's a balance between organizations using the power of social media, as we talked about, kind of the viral video and your ability to reach a broader audience, to educate folks, to connect your brand to your audience, and then obviously this crisis communications on the other hand. And I think organizations that shy away from social media out of the fear of the crisis are missing a huge opportunity, because especially if you find yourself in a crisis situation, the stronger your community is, and the more active you've been and the more authentic you've been there, and the stronger that is, the better chance it is that you're going to weather that crisis if and when it happens.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up with, but I gotta ask one last question, and it just hit me as I'm sitting here. And honestly, if any of you just want to see a clinic on nonstop, machine gun, valuable healthcare social media, you go back to Mandy B. Pro during HIMSS 2015. And holy smoke, you must have tweeted 10,000 times. But I have to ask this too, because I think we're all seeing it now. Any of us that goes to a healthcare event, right? The marketers are just hijacking that hashtag.
Oh, they kill me.
I mean, And so I want to know, does any of us have a solution, or is there anything? I mean, is the healthcare event hashtag essentially an endangered species only because it gets throttled with read by press release and come to booth 820,000, right?
I think that the healthcare hashtags, I think you can educate people about how to filter the signal from the noise, right? So getting back to Andre Blackman, who is the study of, or the person interviewed, separating the signal from the noise in social media can be as simple as telling people to filter out booth. Like I don't allow booth or visit me, like those. I exclude particular phrases from my social media streams during conferences specifically because I can't handle it. But yeah, I mean, it sucks and it's hard, and you have to be able to educate people on how to do that, which is a whole other layer of social media education that we're still pretty much lacking.
Nicole, as a reporter, when you go out and you see this, right? And so you were using social media to gather. I mean, how is there a moment of uselessness at certain conferences because of that event hashtag?
I would say that there's a lot of times where in a certain instance with a conference that I'm trying to filter through a hashtag, just going through looking at what other people are posting, and it's just a lot of retweets and a lot of people sharing what other people have shared, and it becomes this like redundant kind of thing where there's not a whole lot of content.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it challenging. You gotta keep an eye out for what is original and what's not.
Yeah, that's really well said. I think in the end, what's interesting is we're at that point. We just talked about viral videos and the desire to game the system, and I think that when we look at healthcare social media, I mean, I think there's also this idea that the events themselves want the hashtag used so they can, get on Twitter's radar further or get further exposure. And so I think we're probably at this game the system moment with a lot of the social media that's out there, and hopefully that people will realize that some of the gaming just is not going to work or is probably negative in the end. But I want to thank everybody. One of the last things that we do on MedHeads every week is we go around the horn and we talk about any story that we saw this week in healthcare innovation that we thought was valuable. Nicole, let's start with you. What did you see happening this week that you thought was important?
Well, I think that actually on our site, Megan Keshavan wrote about Mark Zuckerberg's kind of contribution into healthcare and donation, and I thought this has been a kind of a week where I think that looking to see where people are just wanting to help other people and kind of like contribute in that way has been really, stories like that are really prevalent for the people who are trying to stay positive and stuff, and I think that was one to demonstrate what he's doing, but also what a lot of other people are doing in innovation who are really keeping an eye out for what's going to be helpful for other people, and that was one that stuck out for me for sure.
Kate, what about yourself?
Well, there was actually something that ran on MedCity News earlier today that Neil wrote. He ran an infographic that had been produced, but it talks about the health IT workforce, and that some of them are well paid and some of them are not as well paid, maybe perhaps as much as we thought. So it was just interesting to see, being a Midwest girl, compared to some of the coast. It was just interesting to kind of see that, that disparity. And I think I don't know if I was listening to something on NPR this week, where they were talking about there was a company where the social experiment is they all sat around a room, maybe it was a company in England, and told everyone their salaries out loud and kind of what happened with that. So I know those two things were just, the timing of those two things together were kind of interesting to me.
Wow.
Not suggesting that at our company.
No.
Mandy.
No.
So I'll do a hat tip to Neil Versel because the article that I saw that resonated with me most this week came from him. And it was about how 2,000 physicians are signing to reinstate the federal funding for the CDC and the NIH to continue gun violence research. So that's been banned since 1996, and I did not realize that. That's new information. I had no idea that ban had been in research related to gun violence. So that was fascinating for me, and I found it from Neil.
And I'll say that mine was, RSNA was this week, and my father-in-law is an oncologist, so he says radiologists aren't doctors, but I don't think that's true. I actually think he does.
Yeah.
Doctors are a bad bunch.
RSNA would be so furious about that, yeah.
It's going to go viral.
Well.
but what I thought was really interesting is the artificial intelligence and the conversations about pretty heavy duty, cutting edge digital health was happening, and I think that's really now and will be the now for 2016 when it comes to RSNA. Nicole did a nice summary of a lot of the announcements and the discussions that happened at RSNA on MedCity, and I really liked this continued, often nuanced discussion about how Watson and some of these other technologies are coming in. So that was my favorite of the week. And I want to thank our group of panelists here, Kate Idem from Breaking Media / MedCity News, Nicole Oran, our reporter at MedCity News, and Mandy Bishop from Dell, and more, almost as important as Dell, Mandy B Pro. And for all of them and for myself, Chris Sepper, I'm going to fold one arm over the right. I'm going to put one over the left. I'm going to start to rock myself back and forth at a 3/4 manner and stop myself from speaking. And I hope that'll
There's
end.
no one holding your bottom, is there? Unfortunately,
are you holding the
holding your own bottom?
And I sometimes shake myself around this way, and I shake myself around the other way, and I got a big ouchie on my leg. And but that's MedHeads for this week on MedCityNews.com. Tune into us every week when we talk about some of the biggest issues and important things that are changing healthcare. I hope you all have a fabulous viral weekend. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.